being a child, I loved the purity of Superman. It was a time when I was starting to understand what movies were. Superman is a character who's good.
Who is filled with hope. He saves people because it's the right thing to do. We could use a little bit more of that.
I wear my trunks on the outside of my pants. Like, it's liberating.
Man, isn't it nice that we finally have a new Superman movie? You guys might have not even noticed this, but the last Superman movie we got was over a decade ago. I'm sorry, but like, how? I mean, it's Superman, like the literal face of all superheroes. Sure, in terms of like popularity, we have people like Batman and Spider-Man who are more popular, but Superman will always be the face of the comic book industry. And honestly, I feel like the only thing Warner Brothers is keen on doing when it comes to Superman is simply just making him evil. Because Superman is boring when he's a good Boy Scout. Having him evil will make him interesting and edgy. And honestly, I just can't with this trope anymore. It was cool years ago, but I could go the rest of my life without seeing another evil Superman adaptation. And it's not even DC because the evil Superman trope has been done with many other characters like Homelander, Omni-Man, Icarus, Brightburn, the Injustice games, and I guess even the Snyderverse to an extent. I am so tired of this trope because it kind of degrades the whole point of Superman. Superman is cool not because he's some all-powerful god who chooses not to kill us. He's cool because he doesn't see us as beneath him. He's as human as we all are, and he chooses to use his powers not to rule over us, but to live among us. And besides the 1978 movie, I don't feel like we've really gotten those Superman ideals when it comes to film. Until now. The year is 2025, and we finally have a new Superman movie. And it is as bright and hopeful as ever. This is the Superman movie I've been waiting my entire life for, and it's kind of sad that it took over decades to get this character right. And all it took was one guy, my man, my hero, James Francis Gunn Jr. I don't know why I said his full name. Now, I don't think it's a hot take to say that I love James Gunn's work as a filmmaker. Most people know him for the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, which are some of my favorite comic book movies of all time. And he also made The Suicide Squad, which was also a really good movie. The reason I think these movies work is because James Gunn is really good at taking like these C-tier superheroes who the general public have no knowledge of and make them such beloved characters. And honestly, I think he was the perfect director to cast to make a Superman movie. Sure, his humor is a bit out there and would really fit the Superman mythos, but he understands the core concepts of the character, and since he's already so good at making the audience care for other characters, I think he would have been a really good pick, and I'm glad they did pick him. And to give credit on where credit is due, if the guy can make us care about a tree and a shark, I think he could make us care about Superman again. And man, did he deliver, because as of right now, Superman is probably my favorite movie of the year. And the biggest reason for that is for the main guy himself. Alright, so I'm just gonna come out and say it. I think David Cornsweet is probably one of the best actors to portray a superhero in a very long time. Everything I love about Superman, he portrays so well, and honestly, I think my favorite part about him is that he isn't perfect. And I mean that like character-wise, not acting-wise. Clark does get angry at things. He does visibly get upset. And sure, it could have been easy to go the route of, oh, I'm Boy Scout Superman who loves people and never raises my voice. And don't get me wrong, I love that version of Superman, but David's portrayal kind of embodies those ideals, but just showcases them in a different light. He does something different so that way he could portray Superman in ways other actors haven't even done yet. But he always keeps the fundamental ideals of Superman in check, and those ideals never change. Also, I know a lot of people don't like the fact that he gets his ass handed to him a lot in this movie, but like, what would the conflict be if he was already a competent superhero? That would just lead us to the whole Superman is boring argument that we've been hearing for years. Seeing Superman struggle only to overcome those challenges only makes him a better hero and a better role model for the audience. Superman just feels like a real person, which he makes very clear in the movie, and trust me, we will get to that scene eventually. But everything about him just feels like a real guy, and his deal on preserving life is made very clear. From the giant kaiju attacking the city to the squirrel on the road just minding its business, this Superman values life more than anything. And he will always go out of his way to try to save a life. Even Krypto, the dog who has caused him nothing but pain and trouble, he will still go out of his way to save him.
DOJ has a warrant out for my arrest, so I'm gonna turn myself in.
Wait, what?
Maybe they'll take me wherever they took the dog.
It's a dog.
Yeah, and he's not even a very good one, but he's out there alone. And he's probably scared.
Despite all this dog's flaws, Superman will always go out of his way to save him because Krypto's life is still worth something. That is the most Superman thing I have ever heard. Oh yeah, Krypto's here. Krypto the Super Dog. Now, surprisingly, Krypto has had a pretty mixed reception when it comes to his portrayal in the movie. I know people who absolutely love him, I know people who absolutely hate him, and this is both from like real life and online. Me personally, I fucking love this dog. Cause like, I did my homework before watching this movie, and I feel like the main thing about Krypto is that he's just the worst dog ever. And that is made abundantly clear in this movie. I've heard some people say that this Superman is super weak and the movie should have been called Krypto because Krypto's always saving Superman in every scene. And like, no. Like, I'm all for respecting other people's opinions and all that, but like, did we watch the same movie? Because I think the movie made it abundantly clear that Krypto does not care for helping Superman in the slightest. And if he does help him, it's only because he benefits something from the situation. Like, when Superman was drowning in the river and he called out Krypto for help, the only thing Krypto did was lick the chicken jockey baby. And sure, he helped with the spears, but that's just because he sees it as a toy, not because he actually wants to help Superman. And while Krypto's doing that, Superman has an entire scene where he takes on a bunch of raptors. So I think Krypto was done perfectly fine here. He was utilized well, he had some funny scenes. And yeah, I like the dog. I don't get why this is such a hot take right now. If anything, I think it was the Justice Gang that Superman was over-reliant on. And I don't mean that in a bad way, because actually, we should probably talk about the Justice Gang now.
Sorry, kid. Superman couldn't make it. So you got an upgrade.
Okay, so one of my actual concerns when going into this movie was the fact that it felt overstuffed with characters, and I felt like the movie would have been too crowded. Like Lois Lane, Lex Luthor, Krypto the dog, those I can accept because those are core Superman characters. But like, Guy Gardner and Mr. Terrific and Hawkgirl, are they really needed right now in a Superman movie? And I know this movie has the responsibility of like kickstarting a new DC universe and all that, but like, is this really something that could have waited for like a Justice League movie or something like that? Keep in mind, these were my initial thoughts before seeing the movie, because after seeing the movie, I am so glad they're here. Now, in terms of like individual characters, they're cool. Yeah, like, I don't really have anything special to say that hasn't already been said. Hawkgirl is definitely the one that has the least going on, and I feel like the writers definitely didn't really know on what they wanted to do with her. But she definitely had, like, the biggest fuck yeah moment of the movie, so I'll give her that.
I know you won't kill me! You are too delicate and weak, like Superman.
I'm not like Superman.
I'm honestly shocked with how true they kept Guy Gardner's character of all people. From the douchebag attitude to the dumb bowl cut, this character was so properly represented. And then there's Mr. Terrific, and this is actually the biggest win for me personally, because I've always loved this character in the comics, and the one representation he's ever gotten in live action was on the CW, and that version was just the worst. Like, the worst representation ever for Mr. Terrific. And I am so glad they finally did him justice here. Like I said, I enjoy all these characters, but what is it about them that justifies them being in this solo Superman movie? It's the fact that these superheroes are the complete opposite when it comes to Superman in terms of what they stand for. To put it simply, they're sellouts. Owned by Lord Tech, government-paid superheroes who only arrive on the job just to get their paycheck. And also without considering the ramifications of their actions. I think they're a good representation on what it means to be a superhero in this world, and they perfectly contrast with Superman's ideals. Superman isn't part of the cloth, as Guy Gardner puts it. He is simply a man who wants to do good, no money required. And these superheroes see this gig as just a job to them. However, they don't always stay like this. I think the cool thing about these characters is the fact that through Superman's inspiration, they fight back against their orders against the government, all because one man had the balls to do the right thing without opposition. These characters feel like real people, flawed people, but people with a conscience. And that's what this movie is really good at exploring, humanity and how we're all flawed. Not just for the Justice Gang, but your everyday citizen, people like... Alright, here's a Superman hot take for you guys, and you guys really have to hear me out for this one. I never really bought Clark and Lois as a couple. Okay, just hear me out, and this is just for specific types of media. So when we have romance stories when it comes to Clark and Lois, Lois has always had her eyes set on Superman. Superman specifically, not Clark. And I'm of the opinion that Superman is really what he does, the actions that are made, but Clark Kent is the person Superman really is. Actually, do I believe that? Yeah, I'm quoting Dean Cain. And if Lois likes Superman, then why is she with Clark? Because he is Superman? But the whole point of her interest in Superman is because of all the good deeds he's done. She didn't really care about Clark. She always passed him out as dismissive.
No, here you are standing in front of one of nature's most awesome spectacles, and you're thinking about food.
Clark, once a girl's seen Superman in action, Niagara Falls kind of leaves you cold. You know what I mean?
Superman!
Bye.
Superman, it's me! Lois! It's me! It's Lois! Lois Lane!
However, there's one exception where this wasn't the case, and that was actually in... Now, I talked about this show like 2 years ago in like a very old video, and one of the main points that I said about that show is that it probably has my favorite version of Lois Lane. She still definitely has that snarky reporter attitude, and yes, she definitely has admiration for Superman, but it's Clark who she actually falls in love with, and their relationship actually feels real.
I think Superman is into you.
Janet, he's Superman. It's part of his whole shtick. He looks at people in a nice way.
And I am telling you,
Janet.
there is some serious chemistry happening.
Listen to me.
And you need to bring your A game if you want to go out with the world's most eligible bachelor.
I am not interested, okay? I'm in love with someone else. Clark from the paper. We've been dating for a couple months. I know he's dorky, but I love him.
Right, the guy with the glasses.
And we never really got this type of relationship when it comes to the Superman movies. Margot Kidder was a great Lois Lane, and I'm not going to deny that. But you gotta admit, her eyes were set on Superman, not Clark. And I'm not saying this is Lois Lane in every single piece of media. There are good stories out there where she is in love with Clark. I'm just saying we never really got that in the movies specifically. Until now. I feel like I've said that like 3 different times in this video. So these two start the movie off as a couple, and I fucking love that. We don't have to go through Lois interviewing Superman again, because we've already seen that. Instead, we have a couple who come from 2 entirely different worlds, trying their best to make this relationship work. It's only when she goes to Smallville when she realizes that Superman is just a guy at the end of the day. She is learning what kind of person this Superman really is, just like us. And I feel like that's what makes her the most compelling. She's a real person. She's not some reporter who has her eyes set on one man. She is a real person with real flaws, but also has real ways to overcome those flaws. Man, this movie's so good. I'm sorry, but like, it is just so exciting to finally talk about like a good Superman movie again. And I haven't even talked about all the side characters who were done really good, actually. I love how Miss Techmocker is actually a vital part to the story. I like how Jimmy's Riz is actually canon now. And yes, that is an actual thing from the comics. This is not just something James Gunn made for the movie. Metamorpho was actually a character that I actually had pretty much no knowledge of besides like one episode from the Superman TV show. And after this movie, I already want to know more about him. He was just portrayed that well in the movie. We'll talk about this guy later. All these characters were done pretty much perfectly. And Superman was portrayed perfectly. Lois was portrayed perfectly. And then we have the best character in movie history. Okay, that's an over-exaggeration, but like the best character in this movie. Holy crap, guys, let's talk about Lex Luthor. Okay, let's get this out of the way. Lex Luthor is the best comic book villain I've seen in a movie, Period. Yes, I said that. I'm probably extremely biased right now because of recency bias, but oh my god, I had the biggest smile on my face in every single scene he's in. Now, I know that's a big statement because we have so many good villains out there in comic book movies. Josh Brolin as Thanos, Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin, Heath Ledger as Joker. And yes, I know recency bias is a thing, but I think I like Lex the most. This dude just gives off the biggest hater energy ever, and I love it. And for those who think his hatred for Superman is a bit over the top and cartoony, I mean, you're right, but that's his character in the comics. Lex Luthor has already been one of the pettiest people in DC Comics. Well, actually, I think that trophy goes to Reverse Flash. He's probably even more petty, but Lex is a good second. But still, Lex is pretty petty. Like, I remember there was one comic where Lex had a sister who had a terminal illness, and then Lex cured that illness, but then once he proved that he can cure the illness, he gave it back to her. Like, come on. That is extreme level of pettiness, and I think this Lex Luthor would totally do that. Now, besides the infamous 1A scene, I think one of my favorite scenes with Lex is actually in the prison with Molly. Okay, so in this scene, Lex has this guy at gunpoint and is pretty much threatening to kill him if Superman doesn't give up all his secrets. And he chose Molly because he gave Superman food one time. Again, extreme level of pettiness. Now, Molly is an absolute G because throughout this entire scene, he is reassuring Superman that it's okay if he dies, that he has no family, and that he still believes in Superman. Again, he is an absolute G, but come on, we know it's Superman. How is he gonna save him?
I didn't imagine that would go so quickly.
Now, when this scene happened in my theater, my entire audience was shocked. Mouths were covered, everyone went quiet. And meanwhile, I was just jumping up and down being so happy. I remember my sister sitting right next to me and she was looking, like, just giving me the weirdest face of all time. Because, like, something tragic just happened and I was like, yes! Like, that's literally a reenactment of what had just happened. And I remember her asking why I was so happy, and I remember the specific sentence I said. I fucking love this guy. I probably got a lot of weird looks from the theater, and now looking at the situation, it was probably not the best thing to say. But I don't care. I do. I really love this guy. He is so cartoonishly evil, but it just works. Just because the acting is that good. Bravo to Nicholas Hoult. Oh my god. And that scene where he gets outed at the Daily Planet, pure tears of hatred. Like, this man genuinely gets off to seeing Superman fail, and when he is defeated, it's literally the end of the world for him. He is so pathetic, such a sorry excuse of a human being, and I absolutely love him. In fact, that entire scene where Superman confronts Lex and talks to him about being human, probably up there with like one of my favorite scenes in a comic book movie. It's corny, it's cheesy, but most importantly, it's Superman. And I think the reason why this speech works so well is the build-up throughout the movie. Superman has spent this entire movie doubting his ideals due to the message he got from his parents. He pretty much starts to question everything he stands for. But it's Pa Kent that reassures him that the recording means nothing. Parents aren't supposed to tell you what you're destined for. They're supposed to provide you with the tools and knowledge to prepare you on what you want to do. Superman chose to help out the world. That means more than anything the recording could have said about him. Fast forward to Lex calling Superman a piece of shit alien, and that's where Superman gets vulnerable and starts getting upset. And sure, it's not the mature thing to do, but it is the human thing to do. Superman is human, and the director knows that.
So finally I walked off set and to talk to him in person.
He came in, came off set, and we get into this thing.
I felt like shit about myself since the recording came out. It's just been like, I don't belong, I'm shit, everything's a lie, I'm not who I thought I was. When is this not the moment where I go, I was wrong to feel that way?
That's exactly where the issue is, right? Because what he didn't tell you was it was wrong to feel that way. Your feelings about feeling bad are okay. It's not wrong for you to feel that way. all of it is being vulnerable and being a human being. And in this moment, for you to talk about how it's okay to be vulnerable, you have to be vulnerable, which means showing Lex that your feelings are hurt in the point when you really shouldn't.
That's where you've always been wrong about me, Lex. I'm as human as anyone else. I love, I get scared. I wake up every morning and despite not knowing what to do, I put one foot in front of the other and I try to make the best choices I can. I screw up all the time. But that is being human. And that's my greatest strength.
This scene just perfectly encapsulates everything I love about these two characters. Just seeing Superman stand tall, crossed-armed, and looking like an absolute G, and then just seeing Lex crumble to his feet, defeated. This is the interaction between these two I've been waiting my entire life for. And man, it hits every single time. In the end, Superman is a movie that I will love forever. Is it my favorite Superman movie? Maybe? I honestly don't know, because honestly the real only competition is the 1978 movie. They're both amazing in their own ways. One introduced us to the legend, and the other reminded us on why we fell in love with him in the first place. The real win here for me is the fact that we have a Superman movie that's bright, hopeful, and unapologetically optimistic. The dark, edgy fanfic version is all gone, and Superman is back. Now, if you excuse me, I'm gonna go listen to Punk Rocker for like the 50th time. I'm sorry, but like, leave it to James Gunn to give you some good music recommendations. I'm gonna go listen to that now. Bye.